So greetings and salutation. Welcome to my channel. My name is MrLiveOcean, and today we are doing another Tate hate update. But first, as always, it would be great if you would like the video, follow us, subscribe, anything. That way, hopefully, I can quit my job and spend more time on these videos and get them just right. But for now, it's a growing process. Like I said, today is another Tate hate update. The first video that I recorded was because I had a thought. And then it coincided with another video, the Milk Bar TV video, that viral video. And the thought that I had was, how did the Tates get to where they're at? Like, where did their money come from? And thanks to Milk Bar TV and Murdered by Crayons, now I know. But, you know, that's really all in the other video. So the Milk Bar TV video was in response to Andrew Tate's gaslighting to Tucker Carlson. It was that main video. It was that interview that spurred this. And he made this video, a 6-minute video that went viral. Now what I'm going to do right now is play the whole video. It's only 6 minutes long.
What are you charged with? That's a really good question. I'm charged with being the head of an organized criminal group, which is in charge of recruiting girls to make TikTok videos.
They face charges, which include human trafficking.
To point out, it keeps saying just TikTok videos. Now, this 6-minute video doesn't make it as obvious. Not just TikTok videos, it's OnlyFans.
Rape and forming a criminal gang to sexually exploit women.
OnlyFans is the best hustle in the world.
Are they accusing you of using violence or?
Yeah,
No.
OnlyFans.
They're accusing me of using the lover boy method, coercing them by being nice.
I don't mention webcam until after I've had sex with the girl. If you're on dates and you're trying to mention it and shit, it just doesn't work. It puts them off.
Here he is explaining it. And this is why I made the original video. Because after watching this video, like this is a time where he's actually telling the truth. And it sounds like it. Versus like every other time he opens his mouth, it just sounds like he's not being genuine.
I'd never do that. That's disgusting. I'm not a whore. It's just not gonna work. You continue as normal, no mention of webcam. You fuck the girl. After you fuck the girl, you do the PhD test.
So yeah, on CobraTate.com I have my PhD program, and that is PhD is a pimp and hose degree that I'm.
Come on.
Clever.
And
Clever.
That teaches basically how.
So okay, apparently back when he did these videos, he wasn't as popular. So he really didn't think, I guess, that it would haunt him. But whatever.
How I met girls, how I got girls to like me, how I got girls to fall in love with me to work on webcam for me.
Oh, and you're always working. Why don't you work for me so we spend more time together? Work for you doing what? So you'll have a webcam business. Oh, I don't want to do that. So, okay, I know you don't want to do that, but listen. Come, let's have a meeting. Let's just talk about it. If you don't want to do it, don't do it. Fine. But let me explain it to you properly. In fact, I'll bring one of the girls who works for me. Your bottom bitch is the one who does the selling. You don't do the selling. The girl has to hear it from a girl. And this is where your bottom bitch has to be trained. That's why I said it's so important to have a good first girl.
Because that's what I did. That was my MO, was find girls, make them love me, and make them work for me.
This girl's like, okay, well, I'll try it. Put both girls on camera together the first day.
Yeah, he sounds like he's speaking the truth. He's bragging. He's being braggadocious or whatever, but he's not lying.
Sit there and just sit with the other girl and get drunk. Give him a bottle of vodka.
First night that I worked for him, Andrew bought me like 5 bottles of wine. So I got completely drunk because I'd never done webcam work. So I was very, very nervous.
And that's how I got rich. So that teaches everything I know from
got
start
rich.
to finish about not only getting girls, not only obtaining them, but retaining them. Because that's a completely different game as well.
And over time, I just built up this big little empire of webcam girls. At one point, I had 4 locations, 75 girls working for me. I'd take around half of the money, around 50%.
You take 50%.
Around 50%.
They thought they were on 50%. And I said that the disparity is because of taxes.
He would just pay me a flat fee of £15 an hour.
We got to the point where we had these guys falling in love with my models.
Well, this is 15 pounds, which in American money is closer to like $22 an hour. Wow. He's generous.
Serious, big time in love, right? Sending crazy money. And they were convinced they were going to meet the chick. This is almost where I kind of felt bad. Because they're like, can we meet? I've sent you $200,000.
But when you look at the money that I was actually bringing in, it
So he's literally hurting. Some of them are probably young men, probably not the kind of young men that he's trying to reach now, but he was screwing them over, but now he's a changed man. without any sort of, redemption story. But we'll get to that more later.
Just doesn't even scratch the surface.
I had these guys selling their houses, life savings, loans, all of it to me. Give me it all.
I was all about trying to get paid. Like I used sex as a tool to make women love me so they'd obey me and live in my house to make me money. That's what I wanted. So I was a pimp in that sense.
Were there any other instances where there was physical abuse?
I saw him smack girls with a belt.
My dear.
It's supposed to be a kink, I guess.
That's right, lock the door, you knew I was going to beat the out of you. If you behaved, I wouldn't have to hit you, would I?
I wouldn't treat a woman like that.
You don't. Get out.
Kink or not, like
you can't stay in there forever.
That's someone else.
Once again, this is an IQ test, right? Because any guy who's bad with women would look at it and go, Tate's a woman beater. I say it.
You're a woman beater.
This is what happens, listen. Look at the camera. Why are you getting hit? Why are you getting beaten? Listen. You. Do as I say. Any man who's actually a G, who's been around a little bit, would look at the video and go, man, she wants that. The media machine, they'd call up.
Unfortunately, there are some women who like rough sex, but that's not what that was. But anyway, whatever.
Ex-girlfriends and say, if you have anything bad to say about Andrew, we can pay you $50,000 for the story. And they tried very hard. They didn't find any evidence of anything.
And I had gone to the shower, I came back and I noticed he was, I saw him raping her. And,
People say, why did you leave Romania? And I explain my 5 reasons. One of them is the Me Too era. They go, oh, well, you're a rapist. I say, no, I'm not a fucking rapist. But I like the idea of being able to just say, to do what I want. I like being free.
And of course, they don't go out. They're not allowed out. You stay in the house.
So, right here he's saying they're not allowed out. Yet, he says they were free to go. Which one is it? He sounds like he's telling the truth here. Whereas, in the other video, he's lying. He's gaslighting.
Because I'm not particularly, what would you say, impressed by what he's done on the sex business front. It seems to me a bit on the pimpy side, let's say.
I get called a pimp a lot.
Let's say that.
But the reason I use the term is because I don't see it as a negative term. I see it as positively inspirational and motivating person.
She has to respect you and love you and want to work with you. And that's done through positively inspirational and motivating person. I'm going to send you a book. It's a guy called Pimpin' Ken, who was a street pimp in the 90s, and he wrote a book.
Under that definition, yes, I would like to be not a pimp, but those 4 words together. Anyway.
50 laws of the game. And one of the laws of the game is a hoe without instruction is headed for destruction.
They're accusing me of using the lover boy method, coercing them by being nice.
Let me read you then what you have said about what you have done.
Sure.
You have said, my job was to meet a girl, go on a few dates, sleep with her, get her to fall in love with me to the point where she'd do anything I say, and then get her on webcam so we could become rich together.
I don't think that's what I personally said. I think
that's exactly what you said on your website.
No, I've never said that.
So yeah, on Conversation.com, I have my PhD program.
I think the belief is that you were charged with human trafficking.
Yeah, that's human trafficking because what you do is you force a girl to work against her will for financial gain. That's human trafficking. And their justification for this is that girls do TikTok. Some girls I know who they found who say they're not victims.
He used TikTok to get girls.
PhD is
and then degree. Get them on.
Clever.
But anyway, that's that video. Well, hopefully now more people have seen it, including you. Then not long after the Tucker Carlson interview, he had an interview with Candace Owens. And it was supposed to help him, but I mean, yeah, people look at the gaslighting and just take his word for everything. Then maybe that video did help. But once again, Milk Bar TV created another video that shows the contradictions and how Candace Owens is actually attacking the victims by shielding pedophiles.
I'm underage and Fisher is still with her. He knows she's underage right here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised Candace is actually reading this.
Me too.
Yeah, me too. That's crazy, right?
Me 3.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense.
Well, today I'm going to offer you the most thorough accounting of the exact charges that face the Tate brothers and my belief of why they are going to beat these charges.
Hi, I'm Nathan from Milk Bar TV. Candace Owens recently did an interview with Andrew Tate, self-professed pimp, who's facing criminal charges of rape and human trafficking. It appears that the blowback from this interview was so severe that she felt she needed to justify why she did it. Pretty much she finds herself defending 5 child predators in an attempt to take down one of Andrew Tate's victims. It's quite shocking and really quite unbelievable. But let's take a look.
So who is Emma Gabby? First, I'll tell you.
They're hoping that people don't look into it. That it's just like mainstream media. We will just throw out this narrative and people will eat it up, hook, line, and sinker. And this is something that Candace Owens, and I'm sure the Tates have said that they hate it about mainstream media, yet they're doing it themselves. So, of course, hypocrisy everywhere.
You who she is, according to the Tate brothers, who is suing her in Palm Beach County, Florida.
According to the Tate brothers, we're going to tell you who a human trafficking victim is by the 2 guys who have been charged with human trafficking this victim in Romania.
Yeah,
so they're going to tell you who this victim is.
According to them, again, if you want to take their word for it.
We don't want to take their word for it. As we've already seen in previous videos that you've made, Milk Bar, Tate is a compulsive liar.
Emma Gabby is a predator who has a long history of baiting men into sexual relationships for the specific purpose of destroying their lives. She has a chain of victims going back several years to when she was a minor.
Oh, she said it. She was a minor. These are not guys who were 20 years old or 22 years old. These men are all into their mid-30s and above. Keith Fox was 57. Emma was 15. Dustin Milner was 35 years old. Emma was 17. Tyler Hensel was 35 years old. Emma was 17. Marlon Fisher was 34 years old. Emma was just 1 month out of her 16th birthday. She was 17. Joel Friedman was 39 years old.
Maybe they do it differently.
Emma was 17. So what we have here is
maybe
a
like
group of child
You're
predators,
1 year
guys who
old,
are preying on young girls, saying, "Oh, woe is me. I was set up by this minor." That's what we have here. This is essentially Jeffrey Epstein saying, "Oh, I was having these underage girls come in and give me massages, but I didn't know they were under the age of 18. Silly me." These are guys who were looking for young women. And Emma, she looks very young, as you can see. How can a grown man in his mid-30s or older look at this girl and say, "Oh yeah, clearly she's overage"?
I mean, makeup, I guess, but still, once you start talking to a girl, it's pretty obvious what their age is.
The responsibility is the adults to make sure that she's overage. So let's talk about the law
I gotta see her
regarding
ID.
statutory rape and what this actually means. In Florida, anyone over the age of 24 cannot have sex with someone under the age of 18 years old, even if the person under the age of 18 years old lied about their age. Ignorance is not a defense. Even if they
ignorance is not bliss.
Lied about their age, it is the responsibility of the adult to figure out the true age of the minor.
Yeah.
This is the law. If you don't like the law, feel free to go and try to change the law.
Before she ever
California
met
has
a Tate's brother, Emma Gabby was a sex worker. She had her own Pornhub account, and she could be contacted via a sex hotline. Again, that is before she ever met a Tate's brother.
All right. In the actual Florida lawsuit, the only thing they mention is social media accounts, and they mention an OnlyFans account. Now, Emma's OnlyFans account, she did topless pictures on there, and she eventually shut that down because she was not interested in OnlyFans. And what she's showing on the screen right now, 666 Fury, that is an image, a mock-up image that was taken directly from her Instagram account. There is no 666 Fury. That is just an image that she put together with the costume that she had. That doesn't exist. She was not a sex worker in this sense. So this is starting out really bad.
In addition to this fake picture here, the Tates also made a parody account that's making fun of Murdered by Crayon. And it's the Tates' way of trying to fight back. So they're not very virtuous if, going to fake stuff.
Gaslighting people into thinking that Emma was this sex worker, when in fact the worst that she actually did was do topless pictures on OnlyFans.
The first case involves a man who I am not going to name, and the only reason I'm not going to name him is because at the time of the allegations against him, Emma was in fact a minor, and that of course is relevant. So we just want to be ethical here.
Pause. So she wants to be ethical here, and she's protecting the man who has been convicted of a sex crime against two different minors.
An accusation.
Because there was a minor involved. However, she has no problem saying what the minor's name is. So she has no problem saying Emma's name, but she's not mentioning the actual name of Keith Fox.
Throughout this episode, by the way, you're going to hear some beeps when I'm discussing this case. If I accidentally say his name, we intend to just beep it out.
Keith Fox was a 57-year-old man who was convicted and sentenced to 24 years in prison for sexually abusing two girls under the age of 18. Emma was a 15-year-old girl. He was a 57-year-old married man who was sexually abusing her.
And it doesn't matter if she instigated it, because she's still underage. She's still a victim, no matter what. To have this 57-year-old guy on top of you, maybe at the time she thinks she's enjoying it, but at some point, I'm sure, it's still trauma.
A private investigator captured images of Keith Fox sexually abusing Emma through a window. So he was caught red-handed. And if you look this case up, you're going to know that there's absolutely no possible scenario in where she falsely accused this man of anything.
And not expose his name so that people can look up the case.
It doesn't have to go that way. Even the parents could be on board with something like that. And yet, if the state gets wind of it, they're all getting in trouble.
Because, as I said, she was underage at the time.
And they don't want you to know his name, because if you look this case up, you're going to see that she clearly did not frame him.
There were two girls that were involved in that case, just to be clear, and one of the girls admitted flat out to having an outright sexual relationship with him, including sexual intercourse. Now let's talk about Marlon Fisher. Who is he?
So let's talk about Marlon and all of the chats that you're going to see here. These chats allegedly come from Marlon illegally accessing her phone and taking all of these chats off of her phone. So this is a child predator, 34 years old, dealing with a woman who is 17 years old, and ignorance is not a defense, remember. She can lie about her age, but in Florida, the responsibility falls on him. And he has a history here. And though the actual case was dismissed, there was...
You can't even say, oh, I didn't even know that was against the law. They can still bust you for anything. You can not know that jaywalking is a crime in a town, jaywalk. You're still going to get in trouble. You can't just say, oh, I didn't know that was a crime. In my town, we could do that all the time. Well, you're not in your town. But anyway.
There's another person who took him to court and filed a petition for stalking. So this isn't the first time he...
Great guys. She's protecting model citizens, right? Model citizens.
He's had issues.
So this is a text message that Marlon Fisher is alleging that Emma Gabby sent to people regarding him. Now, to be clear, before I read this text message, I am about to read you a lot of text messages that apparently came from Emma Gabby and other people throughout this episode. As a general disclaimer, these text messages are a part of cases that are pending and have been submitted to the courts. They have signed affidavits swearing that these are true. I independently, of course, have no means to individually authenticate these messages and to say to you that these are definitely real and I'm holding the phone. So you're going to have to trust the people that are submitting them.
Pause. We have to trust child predators. Yep. That's what she's saying right here. We have to trust that a man who is 34 years old having sexual intercourse with a girl who's 17 years old, which is statutory rape. We have to trust this man has given an honest...
It doesn't matter if it's legal in some other state. It's not legal in the state that this was in, I believe Florida. It doesn't matter if there's other countries where it's legal. And I would guess I would have to say in those cases, all right, go to those countries. But it doesn't mean you can do that in America. And really don't go to those countries. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right.
So going back to this text message, the first one reads from Emma Gabby, again, out to all of her friends. I need to open up and tell you all something because I owe it to you, the people I care about. You have each moved me so much in my life that I am able to do it. I have a problem. I am a pathological liar. My life started in Kazakhstan, where I grew up in a loveless orphanage. We were picked up facing away from the caretakers, so we never developed love. I never learned how to hug, smile, kiss, touch, or be close to anybody. I was adopted by incredible people named Mona and Bill who saved me from a life of abuse. I had a beautiful childhood because of them. When I was 11 or 12, I began to dissociate and resent them. I felt unwanted and like I had no...
Where did that come from? Was that the normal rebellion that a somehow preteen develops? Or does society have a hand in that too? Or mainstream media? Anyway.
Family, so I began to rebel, doing drugs and meeting lots of different people.
This is exactly the type of troubled and vulnerable woman that human traffickers will look for.
Would a butt plug go off through a metal detector? And to give context to that message, the context that was provided by Marlon Fisher, she was asking Marlon Fisher if wearing her butt plug would set off the courthouse metal detector when she needed to go through in order to meet with the district attorney who was prosecuting the person that I just told you about, which is why it's relevant.
Yeah, I don't even understand the point of this. What she's doing is she's shaming a child.
Yeah.
She's shaming a troubled child for having these, sexual kinks. And that has nothing to do with the fact that she was allegedly trafficked to Romania. None of this has anything to do with that other than they're just trying to shame her.
Again, this is being told by Marlon Fisher, so I can only say allegedly. These are her actual text messages.
Allegedly.
Now, Marlon Fisher began to suspect that she was lying about her age. Now, remember, is serving a prison sentence. His life has pretty much been destroyed here. But the pattern of behavior, again, this is coming from Marlon Fisher, that was used on him represents the same pattern of behavior that she used against her other victims.
Okay, so pause it right here, because Jail John, who is Keith Fox, he was caught on film and he was convicted. There is no scenario here where she misled him. Ignorance is not a defense. That's why he was convicted and why he was actually sent to prison, because in Florida, that doesn't matter. She lied about her age, so what? It was your responsibility. That's why they convicted him and actually sent him to prison. Additionally, if Fisher once finds that, if he starts questioning her age, that's where you sever the relationship. You don't continue a relationship with someone when you start to suspect that they might be a minor. You're gone. You bounce. The fact that he's hanging around is suspect.
Believe that
Major.
That was induced into an illicit sexual relationship with a minor under false
he was tricked into this. I'm sorry.
pretenses.
He's the victim.
According to Marlon Fisher,
whatever.
Performed deviant sexual acts in the bedroom, such as urinating on her during intercourse.
Yeah, he's the victim. He's the victim here. The 57-year-old married man who is urinating on a 15-year-old child is the victim, just for context.
Well, it ends with Emma Gabby filing documents.
And is that really a sexual thing, or isn't that more of a dominance thing? At least with animals it is. Or they piss on things that are theirs. It's their territory, or they kill an animal, they'll come back to it later, like coyotes apparently will just piss on their food and they come back later. Like I think they piss on it to claim it, but then they come back because they like it a little rotted.
Against Marlon Fisher. On September 16, 2019, she walked into Palm Beach County Courthouse and filed a temporary injunction for protection against domestic abuse against Marlon Fisher under what he claims are false pretenses.
So what we have here is the second situation where Emma has accused someone formally. The first one was Keith Fox, and I believe it was her mother that started that in motion, but he was convicted. He was convicted. He did it to another girl. He was caught on film. He was convicted. There's no question that was not false. Now we have the second person here who she did go to the police and file some sort of an accusation. Notice it was not kidnapping and it was not human trafficking as the Tates love to claim. So we have one that was actually convicted, so that's not false. And we have a second one which has nothing to do with human trafficking or kidnapping.
She filed a restraining order under oath in Florida State Court where she accused Marlon Fisher of severely abusing her. Marlon Fisher, distraught, did not know what to do. Now, just as a reminder, they've engaged in BDSM, according to him.
Right. This is all according to Tate's and according to the man who was raping her, essentially.
She wants to engage in BDSM, and so now she is claiming that she has been abused. So you can imagine this obviously presents some suffering.
Pause. You've been having sex with a minor, and now You found out that you're having sex with a minor. You continue to have communication with the minor. And now the minor actually goes to the police and makes some accusations against you. Oh, yeah, of course, you're going to suffer. You know, that's statutory rape.
Yeah.
You know, I'm surprised Chris Henson didn't walk in and tell him to have a seat. Why don't you have a seat right over there?
The next case, and I want to be clear here, I have seen people online circulating saying that this woman, that Emma Gabby, caused a man to commit suicide. I want to say that that is something that is an allegation that I would not stand by.
So Candace says she wouldn't stand by this, but then she continues to go into it. She obviously wants to plant that seed to make you think, well, maybe she was involved. So Dustin Milner was a 35-year-old depressed man who was having sex with a 17-year-old girl, which was Emma. He also has a criminal history. He got a felony for unauthorized.
So I guess you gotta think, at least for that moment, he was less depressed during, the act. But then after the act, it wouldn't help. Like, I just committed statutory rape. It wasn't like she was a virgin either. But, whatever. Not trying to say that's okay. Just saying he was depressed, and these things only made it worse.
Authorized possession of an identification card. So it looks like at one time he also had a fake ID. So 35 years old.
Everyone has fake IDs.
With a 17-year-old. Now, according to the Florida lawsuit, there's no actual evidence that says that she's involved. They're basing it on the brother believing, his thought is, that she may have been involved. And I can understand where he might be coming from, where he's trying to make sense of the suicide and he wants to put the blame somewhere. So obviously he's going to place it with her. But there's no actual evidence that she was involved.
So there is no evidence here that could back this up. She didn't tell him to kill himself.
Okay, so she just said it. There's no evidence to back this up. Candace said that herself. And it's also important to understand there is no accusation here. She did not accuse him of trafficking, of kidnapping, or any particular crime. He unfortunately committed suicide. And there's no evidence to actually back that up.
And so I just want to make it clear that in digging into this, I didn't feel comfortable suggesting that she made him commit suicide.
But you talked about it anyway.
Moving on to a young man named Tyler Hensel.
Okay, so Tyler Hensel, the young man who was 35 years old, and you can see that at the bottom of the screen there. She highlights something in yellow, but if you go down and look, you can see that Tyler was 35 years old and Emma was 17 years old. Now, Tyler alleges that he thought she was 26 years old, but again, ignorance is not a defense. The responsibility falls on him, 35-year-old with a 17-year-old.
Indicating to Hensel, like to Martin Fisher before him, that she was into BDSM and insisted on calling him daddy in the bedroom. At one point, when the two of them were alone, Gabby even jumped on top of Tyler Hensel, initiating sexual contact. Hensel, who was not into this kind of degrading behavior, often rejected her demands for more aggressive sexual conduct.
But he still had sex with her, and there's no way, looking at her picture, are you going to think that she is 26 years old back when she's 17 years old? That's not going to happen. And I hate the fact that she keeps shaming her for her sexual kinks. That's not a crime. If you want to talk about sexual kinks, the Tate brothers are both on the record for choking women until they pass out.
Now, again, this person, she never ends up filing anything against.
Okay, pause. So there were no accusations made against Tyler Hensel.
Yeah.
So now we have two of the men where there were no accusations made. One of the men was actually convicted. So we have one man where accusations were made, and it was not about human trafficking or kidnapping. So we have one man where she's made an accusation against. And technically speaking, he was 34, she was 17. That is statutory rape. So she would have been within her rights to actually make that complaint.
Then we have the defamation of Joel Friedman, that she defamed a man named Joel Friedman. And this is an actual text message. How do we know about this defamation against Joel Friedman?
All right, so Joel Friedman is a 39-year-old man.
Oh, wow.
Again, Emma
was
was 17 years old. And how did you learn about the defamation?
Old enough to be a father.
Surprise, through Fisher, the child predator. And also, Friedman had a history of drug abuse. He's actually been brought up on charges for drug abuse. One of the charges was possession of cocaine.
Exchange between Marlon and Gabby. Gabby writes, "Can I message Joel to tell him that I have a boyfriend?" Marlon Fisher says, "As you clearly understand, nobody cares that you have a boyfriend, but if you'd like to tell him that he raped you, by all means." Emma says, "I'd like to not put our relationship at risk. I'll gladly tell him when I'm 18 and anybody else that happened with." so sweet you are. You're breaking up with me because I don't want to tell Joel that he raped me. 1, I don't know if he would tell other people that I'm underage.
I'm underage and Fisher is still with her. And she doesn't want to ruin the relationship with Fisher. He knows she's underage right here. How can you say she set you up? You know she's underage and you're continuing with this relationship. I'm surprised Candace is actually reading this.
Yeah, me too. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, this doesn't make sense.
Marlon Fisher ended up actually confronting Friedman. You imagine your girlfriend tells you that she was raped by some other man.
Pause. Your underage girlfriend tells you that she was raped by another man.
Yeah.
Your underage girlfriend, when you were 34 years old, tells you that she was raped by another 39-year-old man. What is going on here? How is she saying this with a straight face?
Well, eventually Marlon Fisher confronts Friedman over the rape allegation. Friedman, purports to be an innocent man, of course, denied those allegations. Friedman stated that they had a dating-type relationship, but were never intimate and shared the passion of music together.
We're supposed to believe an underage girl is so sexually charged that she's into all of this crazy stuff and wanting to put butt plugs in and walk through court and get choked and all this BDSM. But with this one guy, there's no sexual relation whatsoever. Yeah, I have a hard time believing that.
So that's really interesting. You see a person who has a pattern, these men that are coming out and making statements via an affidavit that about their relationship with her, about how she lied, about how she manipulated. But this pattern of speaking to one man about the last man and claiming that she's in a compromising situation is what these men are saying.
Pause. Yeah, we need to go back on this because Candace has talked about 5 men here. And let's kind of put this in context with the Tate saying that she's accused 7 men of kidnapping or human trafficking.
There's going to be another conversation as to whether women can go around and accuse 7, 8, 9, 10 people of kidnapping on repeat whenever they don't get the handbag they want. So this all began with a girl accusing us of kidnapping her. A girl we have the CCTV to prove was never kidnapped. Isn't it interesting that she's accused 7 other men of kidnapping her in her life?
And so Keith Fox, he was convicted. There's no question. There was no false accusation there. Dustin Milner, there was no accusation. Tyler Hensel, there was no accusation. Marlon Fisher, there was an accusation, but to be fair, he would fall under statutory rape. He was 34, she was 17. And Joel Friedman, there was no formal accusation. It was Marlon Fisher who claims Emma told him that Joel raped her, but that's not a formal accusation. So at best, we have 2 accusations, and one of them was not formal. Yeah. So I don't know where this whole she accused 7 men came from.
Or 10.
That simply does not exist.
Yeah, and there's 2 missing men. That's 5.
Yeah.
She says that she's in a compromising situation, and the other person's here to rescue her. She's telling Marlon that Tyler Hensel raped her. She's talking to this person. She's talking to Friedman and saying, oh, this other guy that I'm dealing with is raping me, or I'm in a compromising situation. This is her pattern of behavior before she ever meets a single Tate brother. Again,
yeah, pause.
Do these
This is the pattern of behavior of a child. This is the pattern of behavior of a child who has been sexually abused by multiple men. And by men, I don't mean men who are 21 years old, men who are 39, 34, 35, 35,
Elders.
57 years old.
And
that's just the ones we know about. So this is the pattern of a minor who's been sexually abused repeatedly by adults.
And a pattern of behavior that's being put forth by the Tate brothers.
Yeah.
And the evidence is you have to trust these child predators.
Right. Trust the child predators to tell you the truth. Trust the men who have been formally charged with human trafficking to tell you the truth.
Yeah. This is crazy. You never talk to anyone unless I introduced you. Romania is my world. No friends from the outside. All right, so the thing is, the Tates have doubled down. You could tell from the whole interview, because I watched the entire Candace Owens interview with him, and like the only one I've actually watched, because that's 3 hours. I don't have 3 hours all the time to listen to something. But I watched the Candace Owens video and found him to just be doubling down. They're trying to say they have nothing to apologize for. So meanwhile, while all these videos are coming out, or in between, the Tates have been taken off of house arrest, which for some people was reason to celebrate, but it was a bit too soon. I mean, luckily they haven't fled the country, but the point about being on house arrest and then no longer being on house arrest is that they are still under judiciary control, which means any other time you're out on bail is that they can't leave the country. In fact, I don't even think they can leave the area. So they're given a little bit more freedom, enough freedom now that Andrew Tate can do this one video that he's about to do. Today is August the 11th, but on August 12th, he will have done this, well, started doing this video. He's going to simulate being in the jail that he was in for 24 hours. But I'm sure he's going to over-exaggerate. He's going to embellish it. He's going to make it look worse than it really was, because from what I've heard is that the facility that he was in during his time being locked up, a newly renovated spot. Apparently had like LCD TVs, all kinds of stuff, all kind of goodies, whatever. And during this celebration of no longer being on house arrest, it was more apparent that there are people, other famous, we call them Xers. They're no longer Twitterers, because now it's, different. But anyway, I mean, they're famous in other areas too, but when it comes to Twitter or X, they are putting themselves out there. It's one thing to like one of the Tate's new posts, because I've done that too. They're saying some good things here and there, but it's still tainted with their legacy. And it just makes you wonder if these people, if these, well-known X personalities, did they really watch these videos? Like the ones that I have, just thrown up there. Because it doesn't seem like they have. Because they're really good at mischaracterizing what the videos were about. Probably because they're just going by what the Tates had said. They're just repeating it. And I don't want to say the names of these people, because I'm not really trying to start beef with everybody. I may have made, one or two comments towards somebody. But, I hope they will come around. But like I said, I can't fault them for liking what the Tates are trying to do right now. But they need to understand where the Tates come from, how they got their money, and how they've been lying this whole time to everybody. So the gaslighting is working, obviously. So I guess I'm on Team Matrix. That was something that Milk Bar TV talked about with Murdered by Crayons on a longer video. Their almost hour and a half long video. And it's silly. I mean, it's nice for the Tates to use the Matrix idea to attract young men, but it's kind of a cop-out in a way. Like, they didn't really make it. They didn't make it up. But it's silly, though, because they're trying to say that any attack on them is an attack from the Matrix. And you are doing bad things, and people are going to respond to your bad things. They're not trying to bring you down just because somehow it's against the programming. No, it's people trying to hold everybody to the same standard. But anyway, now I want to say hate is a bit of a strong word. I usually don't like to say I hate anybody. Normally, I will say I hate what they're doing. I hate how they're acting, whatever. I hate what they're thinking. But I still believe that they can change. Because really, the opposite of love is not hate. The opposite of love and the opposite of hate is the same, and that's indifference. When you hate somebody, it's almost because you want to like them, you want to love them, you want them to be how you want them to be, but they're not, so you hate that about them. It almost kind of stays that way until you give up on them. That's what happens when you murder somebody. You've given up on them. They no longer have any chance of redemption, so you just kill them. But that's when you know them, because like someone else had said, recall who brought it up, is that you really can't hate someone unless you know them. If you don't know them, then maybe, if I were to expand upon it, you may hate the idea of something. Like you hate the idea of your country being invaded, so you will kill the invaders. But once you get to know them, you may understand that they're after the same thing as you, and you're both just working for your respective countries, and there's no real reason to hate each other. But then you have to turn around and still go back to battle. kind of like what happened, I think it was World War I, where the Germans, because it was the Germans fighting the Russians, and they had an issue because wolves. A super pack of wolves were killing all the injured men. Imagine if you're killing other men and they're dying and they're getting eaten by the wolves, and the wolves got accustomed to eating human meat. Now the wolves are killing people who are probably not even hurt. You're just in a trench, nowhere to go, and a whole bunch of wolves attack you. Not good. So the Russians and the Germans had a ceasefire long enough to take out the wolves. And then there was another time for Christmas, the enemies, the allies and the enemies, whatever, had an informal truce. It was just between the people. Like somehow a song got sung, they joined in, they played soccer or football, depending on where you're from, and broke bread. But the officers in charge found out, got mad, hey, we're going to kill you if you don't stop this nonsense. So then, they just, finished up, whatever, went back to their camps, and the day after Christmas, then got back to killing each other. So do I hate the Tates? That's the thing. There's just some people you cannot trust. And I say that because I believe in redemption, that there should be a possibility should be available. But unfortunately, there are some people who are on death row for a reason or whatever, and you can't let them out. So you either lock them up forever, which is supposed to be cheaper than capital punishment somehow. You would think it'd be cheaper to just get rid of them sooner. And I'm saying this because the one group of people that I can say I hate would be pedophiles. I hate pedophiles. Not that I just hate what they're doing, but I have to hate everything about them because it's one of the worst things to do. So there's pedophiles. Then of course I could also say I hate rapists. But once again, I could hope that they would change and stop raping, and then maybe I can like them again, but they have to pay their debt to society. Because that's the thing. I'm not sure we can trust the Tates, to be honest. And then that's the thing. They're not paying the price. If they were to apologize, and maybe not in the sense where you have to keep apologizing all the time, but just somehow make a tone for it. Maybe every time they talk about their past, they have to say a little more than just, I regret having done that. They should say, oh, I shouldn't have done that. I should have done it another way. But in their doubling down, they're justifying everything that they've done, that they had to do what they had to do. They had to make porn in order to succeed. That was their only choice. And if they get away with this, it's going to set a really bad example. Young men will look at the Tate's life. They're not just going to look at what's going on right now. They're going to probably look into his past and be like, oh, cool. Maybe I should do the same thing. Maybe I should get a group of women together and force or convince them, whatever, to do an OnlyFans account. Yeah, my hero, Andrew Tate, did it, and I'll just do like him. I'll just pretend that I'm not doing it, or I never did it, or only did it for a short time, but in reality, it's still going on, or was going on a couple of years ago in the Tate's case. We don't need young men to consider women as an income source. They don't need to be, living off of women like that. Men should be the ones who are bringing in the money, mostly, or solely, if we go all the way to a traditional marriage. So my idea is, if they somehow do get out of this case scot-free, which I find to be very unlikely, but somehow they did, well, then what they will have to do after that, if they want to have any sort of credibility, they need to start from scratch. So I don't know that means they need to have everything taken away from them. No, it'd be better, like, if they get away with this, don't have to give up the rest of their money and whatnot. Well, then they need to just give it away. Just give it all to charity, whatever. Start from scratch. Build yourself back up, which would be a lot easier now. So at least you can say, this fortune of money that I'm sitting on is mostly thanks to the good work that they had been doing after they started over. That's my idea. Their message now is better, much better than the original message. But it's still, like I said before, it's still tainted. And you don't want your legacy tainted. You may have some skeletons in the closet, But you can be honest. You can open up. You could turn that into a positive instead of it remaining as a negative. But for them, they're just doubling down and making it worse on themselves. The least they could do is complete the hero's journey. They really want to be awesome role models, the best role models possible. They need to read Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. I think that's the full title. And it might be considered a trope or whatever, but no, it's this awesome story. You take the hero, and there's several iterations of it, but there could be or should be a fall from grace, and then the hero can find redemption and rise to the challenge, and then be looked as a good role model. But right now, they're not a good role model. I'm sorry. And sure, I like what they're saying right now. I like how he's in shape. But this could be a situation where it could be bad for the masculinity movement. It's possible thanks to someone, I guess I'll say their name, Noah Justice, this guy on Twitter, this other fitness guru. He made this point that maybe the CIA has gotten to them and convinced them to continue on down this path. Because, like I said, yeah, they're going to try to dismantle the masculinity or the masculine movement from within by using a bad role model. So, best I can do is try to improve myself, and hopefully I can get, bigger and eventually fill that role. Maybe. I'm just hoping. I just know that for my family, I don't have kids, but for my nephews and my niece and nieces on the other side of the family, all of them, they need a better role model, I feel. So I'm trying to be that role model, and hopefully I can get money from doing these videos and maybe from X, and I can help support them. Yeah. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I hope you learned something, especially you. You know who I'm talking about. Not sure if I convinced you that the Tates aren't to be trusted, but you can only lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink. And yeah, please like or subscribe, because it'd be nice if I could focus on this, and then I could really put some effort into these videos, put the money back into the channel, and hopefully Mr. Beast this, get it to where maybe I'm giving money away. So please like and subscribe. I'm MrLiveOcean signing off. Once again, not for the last time, hopefully, but at least, I'm still kicking it.